Please allot Mr. Jeremy to the VIP lounge.
Yeah, he's allotted.
Yeah, when can I reclaim the house?
No, just a minute, just a minute.
Right.
Can you just allot me to the breakout room, sir?
Yes, sir, you're allotted.
Yeah, Mr. Jeremy, you are allotted to the VIP guest lounge. You can join in the VIP guest lounge. There, the team will brief you. You have been assigned to the visitors lounge as well. Disha, ma'am, I'm assigning you to the. I'll just make sure the co-hosts and assign you to the VIP lounge. Just a second. Yeah, Nehal and all you all can join the visitors lounge.
All right,
As well.
Urvansh, I'll join the visitors lounge then.
Right, right.
Cool.
When we have 34 guests.
What is the count right now?
34 in visitors lounge, 17 in guest lounge.
Okay, cool. More will be joining in. Cool. Yes. Sir.
Right, Abhishek sir, you have been assigned to the visitors lounge. You can join in the room.
Quickly put me to the breakout room where Aditya Bhatt and all are there, no?
Yes, sir. Just a second. I'll just make you the co-host as well.
Yeah.
I've assigned you to the VIP guest lounge, sir.
Yeah. Urvansh, kindly send me also there. I'll just have a quick look.
Yeah. Devashri, please. Yeah, Devashri, I've allotted you to the visitors lounge.
Okay, sir.
Divya, I've allotted you to the visitors lounge as well. Mr. Kanishk, you have been allotted to the visitors lounge. Yeah. Vishnu Harshit, you have been allotted to the visitors lounge as well. Yeah, Moin, you have been allotted to the VIP guest lounge. Yeah, Akash, you have been allotted to the visitors lounge. Pranav Chauhan, you have been also allotted to the visitors lounge as well. Mr. Veron, you have been allotted to the visitors lounge as well. Akash sir and Mr. Veron, you can join your respective breakout rooms. Right, Tejas, you have been allotted to the visitors lounge. Right, Rohit sir, is everything fine?
Yes, Urvansh, just send a message, broadcast a message that will be starting in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, I have written a message. Greetings to all our guests from different countries. We are honored to have you. We are honored to have you here with us. We will be starting with the event shortly.
Yeah, and just close in the next 2 minutes.
Okay. Moin, can you do one thing? Can you go to the visitors lounge and ask everybody to rename themselves as spectators?
Yeah, just send me there.
Just go now. I'm broadcasting 1 second.
Yeah, Urvan, just send me to the visitors lounge now.
Just a second, let me broadcast the message. We are
Yeah.
honored to have you here with us. We shall be starting with the event shortly. Right. Um,
Yeah,
they
put
have,
me over there.
yeah, done. Yeah. Yes, Anwar, so you are here.
Yes, Urvansh, it's done. Just do one thing, Urvansh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, close the chat section and this thing. Rename option.
Sir,
Yes,
can you
that's
close all
done.
the breakout
And
rooms?
the mute option as well.
Just a second. I close all the breakout rooms as well. Do-
Yeah, and also make all our guest co-hosts as well.
Doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a small request. Can all the panelists raise your hands so that I can make you all the co-hosts? Yes, according to my knowledge, everybody has been made the co-host.
Yeah, you can
Urvansh,
see.
can you just click on mute all once so that everyone who joins will be muted?
Yeah, that's done.
Yeah, perfect.
I'll be closing the breakout room so that the visitors can come back to the main session.
Sir, have all the breakout rooms been closed?
Yes, May all the breakout rooms were closed.
Okay, okay. Greetings, everyone. It's an honor for me to be introducing all of you and welcoming all of you to the Indian Conclave's international panel discussion. To begin with, I will play an invocation song, which is a patriotic song of India, that is Vande Mataram. You can sit back and enjoy while I play the flute. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Indian Conclave's international panel discussion. I, Aprameya Sheshadri, the moderator of this show, take immense pleasure in introducing all the participants to you. Mark Twain once said, India is the cradle of human race, the birthplace of human speech, the mother of history, the legend, the grandmother of legends, and the great grandmother of traditions. We welcome all the international dignitaries to this nation, even on this virtual platform. We would have loved to have you offline, but due to the circumstances the world is struggling with, we are immensely pleased to have all of you on this online platform for this cause. I now call upon Mrs. Charmika to introduce you to about the Indian Conclave.
Thank you so much, Aprameya. Firstly, I would like to thank every single representative or delegate of the country for accepting the invite that the Indian Conclave provided to you. Nextly, Indian Conclave always had this motive of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which basically means the whole world is a family. And that is what we would like to indulge our whole conference into. With keeping that in mind, this particular international delegate panel discussion was raised. And I would like to heartily thank Aprameya, Raghav, and Rohit Katta for the team IOMAN organizing this particular event. So basically, Indian Conclave, with the hope of uniting the whole world, even during the pandemic, even during the hard times, discussing on something as geopolitics at this point of time stands extremely relevant, and we would like to hear every single perspective from every single different nation present here, so that we get an outline to hear to the other side and not just stick to our current perspectives. Keeping that in mind, I would like to thank everyone lastly, and Aprameya, I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you so much, Chamika ma'am. I call upon Mr. Moin, the Secretary General of the Indian Conclave, to play a video about India, about the Indian Conclave.
मेरे वतन ऐ वतन आबाद रहे तू आबाद रहे मेरी ज़मीं महबूब मेरी मेरी नस नस में तेरा इश्क बहे फीका ना पड़े कभी रंग तेरा जिस्मों से निकल के खून कहे तेरी मिट्टी में मिल जावा गुल बन के मैं खिल जावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू तेरी नदियों में बह जावा तेरे खेतों में लहरावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू
सौ बारी जान में
Thank you so much, Mohin sir. Now I call upon the resource team of the Indian Conclave to introduce all the delegates participating in the panel discussion. Over to you.
Thank you, Premier sir. First, on behalf of the Indian Conclave, I welcome you to this event, and a special welcome to the panelists. We have panelists from various countries. Um, I'll introduce a few, and my co-resource team member Agneta ma'am would be introducing the next few. We have Mr. Adrian Snell from Mexico, Mr. Gabriel Guzman from Mexico, Tulolop Oguntayo from Nigeria, Aditya Bhatt sir from India, Paulo Rodriguez from Brazil, and Jeremy from Indonesia. Agneta ma'am.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Indian Conclave. I'm so happy to have so many delegates from so many different countries, various parts of the world. I would like to introduce Mr. Shayan Arshad from Pakistan, Zainab from Turkey, Mr. Anvi Joshi from the United Arab Emirates, Mr. Shreya from Saudi Arabia, Ms. Lisa Kim from China, and Ms. Christina from from Russia. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much, Agneta and Mahi. Moving forward, I welcome all the delegates personally, and the agenda at hand is a versatile and a huge agenda which is changing geopolitics of the world. We would love to hear your opening statements. To begin with, we have Miss Zeynep from Turkey. Miss Zainab. I think ma'am is facing a few issues. We'll get back to ma'am. I would ask Mr. Gabriel Guzman from Mexico to give us opening stance on the agenda.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here with all of you and to invite us, me and my partner, Adrian. We are from Mexico. And so, Mr. Apermeye, we are going to start with the topic of, I'm sorry, of the new age wars, I think. So if you want, I can start giving my first speech to introduce this topic. Okay, so as you know, the cyber war right now here in the world is the main global cyber threat. As you know, in 2015, Bestie Davis, just 7 years old, managed to hack a Wi-Fi network and access third-party data illegally in just 11 minutes. In 2017, the WannaCry blackmail virus affected 200,000 people missing in 150 countries in less than 24 hours after beginning the spread. This virus hijacks the files of a computer to ask for money in exchange for its ransom. These facts demonstrate this easy of accessing information and the real possibility of being victims of a cyber attack immediately. Today, society faces threats that are not only multiple, but even serious. The technological advances of the 21st century, and with them, our dependence on interconnectivity, make us vulnerable to other types of dangers, such as cyber threats, classified as cyber warfare, cyber attack, cyber terrorism, and hacktivism. Due to the existence of these real threats, cyberspace has been added to the list of sensitive factors that can destabilize global security. And strategically, cyberspace is of great value as it contains all the information and communication resources available on the web. Because of this, the United States Department of Defense defines cyberspace a new war domain, that is, a field of operations, such as land, sea, or space, in which many wars are also developed defensive and offensive, but cybernetic. Cyberwar is the main global cyber threat. Its tactics consist of identifying vulnerabilities and hacking systems to access information that access from the institutional credibility of a country to its critical infrastructure. In the last decade, there have been continuous and systematic cyber attacks that suggest that a cyber war is currently taking place. In 2008, the secret internet protocol router network, the international communication network of the US Army was successfully hacked. And in 2010, the malicious virus Stuxnet damaged the uranium centrifuge at the Iranian Natanz nuclear plant, being the first cyber attack with a warlike purpose capable of disabling a physical infrastructure. The trend that the armies of the future are made up of bots, trolls, and hackers capable of violating and damaging any information system, be it civil or military, gains strength. In the scenario of a massive cyber attack that puts the critical infrastructure of the United States at risk, this country would respond with a strategic non-nuclear attack, according to the document Nuclear Posture Review, presented by the Department of Defense. The reorientation of the United States security policy demonstrate the concern of a large-scale cyber attack by Russia, China, North Korea, or Iran. Cyber attacks are already one of the most destructive weapons. Until recently, it was thought that the consequences of a cyber attack would be limited, but recent events have shown that this impact is bigger and large. Likewise, social networks such as Facebook and Twitter are vulnerable to computer programs, bots, to spread fake news, to damage the credibility of affected party. It is worth mentioning that networks are gaining more strength in electoral processes worldwide. In Mexico, according to ended 2017 survey published by INEGI, that is an organization of Mexico, the main can have the information that the main use of the internet is to search for information. And that's why the 31.3 million Mexican users of internet and the rest of the world must be aware of the risk of living in a world under cyber threats and cyber attacks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabriel, sir. That was a very informative and an elaborate speech. Moving forward, we'll be having Mr. Aditya Bhatt from India. The floor is yours, sir, for the next 1.5 minutes.
Thank you so much, April. Good afternoon, panelists, and good afternoon, all the members. So yeah, the agenda in terms is the changing geopolitics and is Asian region replacing US as a superpower. And yes, I feel, yes, it is very much possible in the coming days. It is possible, but the first thing that we need to, as the ASEAN countries or the countries who are a part of this agenda, the first thing we need to make sure is that there is some interdependency. That's the one thing which is the need of the hour in today's time of pandemic, or it's the need of the hour in today's world. We need the interdependency. We need the world to help each other. We need that countries that help each other in gaining the resources, gaining all the things, like how Mr. Gabriel just mentioned about the cyber warfare. Yes, it's like a shared responsibility of all the countries to make sure that that kind of warfare is not something that any country has to deal with. Coming next, yes, it's one of the main concerns that yes, all the countries have the mutual amount of trust upon each other, the mutual support from each other, the self-reliance, the issue, the motive of the service before self. That's what I feel today is going to be a leading factor in making sure that the Asian countries, like not any country in particular, but the term as a whole, the Asian countries will be responsible in replacing US or the United States of America as a major superpower. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aditya. That was a short and sweet speech. Um, Moving forward, we have Miss Zainab from Turkey. I hope your network issue is fixed, ma'am. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yes, ma'am. The floor is yours for the next 1.5 minutes.
Thank you. Firstly, I would like to mention about the situation. Firstly, as the other delegates mentioned about the important points on changing geopolitics and new age wars, I also would like to mention about the Turkey's statements and situation about this topic. As you know, in this era, especially in these days, we are having lots of wars, lots of attacks, and lots of problems other than the pandemic problem. And if we look at to the situation and the thoughts upon the citizens in Turkey, most of the citizens also believe that USA is the major power and the dominant power in the world. And after that, also the other European countries and China. But also, as Asian countries, we are having, because of our locations and other our neighbor countries, we are having lots of problems due to terrorism and weaponizing. And I also want to say that in Turkey, most of the citizens actually, it's a really interesting fact, but lots of the citizens believe that COVID-19 is a biological weapon. The 62% of the citizens also believe that the world is going somewhere. The world is going somewhere that there will be some polarizations between the countries, and the world will become more dangerous place for everyone. Other than that, as you know, every country, in order to have protect their rights and protect their own citizens, are having some weapons and also trying to protect their border lines and protect their internet connection because of the attacks from the other countries. Also in Turkey, cyber terrorism is really important too. Just yesterday, actually yesterday, just maybe 12 or 13 hours before, we had an cyber attack to one of the big internet site for shopping, online shopping site in Turkey, and at the same time, it caused more problems in our own country a lot. Other than that, I also in the world, we are having more problems than these only than these weapons and these pandemic problems. But for us to think that for us to talk this topic a lot is more than important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a very informative speech, and we would love to hear more about the scene in Turkey since we don't have first-hand information about it. Moving forward, I would request all the panelists respectfully to keep up the time of 90 seconds. Moving forward, we have Ms. Liz Kim from China.
I'm sorry. What?
Ma'am, you can give your opening statement on the agenda as a whole.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't aware we were supposed to prepare an opening statement.
If I may come in, ma'am, basically express your opinion of what do you think of the situation and what is your perspective?
Okay, well, on cybersecurity, China obviously has a strict measures. Sorry, the host has asked me to start my video. Oh, okay. Hi, sorry. So as a result of basically as many people well know, that the Great Firewall is an example of China's example of expressing their cybersecurity through military strategy, as well as cyber warfare. China's opinion on the coronavirus was initially a very prompt response, as shown by the strict measurements through strict quarantine and national lockdowns on restaurants, shopping malls, and public health guidelines promoting people to stay safe until, unfortunately, the virus spread and pervaded throughout the whole world, obviously ending in a pandemic. And lastly, China's opinion on the effectiveness of the United Nations is controversial. However, she's basically open to many other countries' points of view on the topic as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to add that moving forward, you can speak much more about China gaining its importance in the whole world. And moving forward, we have Mr. Muhammad Shayan from Pakistan. The floor is yours, sir, for the next 1.5 minutes. I believe Mr. Shayan is facing few issues. We would move forward to Mr. Anvay Joshi from the UAE. Anvay, sir. Yeah, I think even he's facing some issues. Moving forward, we have Mr. Jeremy from Indonesia. The floor is yours, sir, for the next 1.5 minutes for your opening statements. Jeremy, sir? Yeah.
Hello? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're very much audible.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, then. First of all, I would like to say sorry because I'm outside right now. I need to wear this kind of mask because of my internet connection problems, kind of things. Now, moving on to my opening statement regarding like all of like we can talk a lot of things right in here. I would like to address regarding the need for United Nations to restructure the body itself or the organization within the United Nations. Now, when we are talking about United Nations, we need to always remember that United Nations, it is a forum. It is a place to communicate with other countries in order to solve a problem. It is not something that is being like a supremacy or like a Supreme Court kind of things. No, because in United Nations Charter, especially in the first chapter, it's already written that United Nations is
Sir, I think we can't hear you.
on the first place. Now, with that explanation, we must know and also we must rethink about what will we do if we want to restructure the United Nations, because things like the permanent member and things like United Nations General Assembly that have uh, one vote for one country, it is not really that problematic. The problematic is a diplomacy itself and the trust between each countries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was informative. Moving forward, we have Mr. Mohammed Shahriar from Saudi Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good day to all. First of all, I'm sorry if you cannot, sometimes like my connection is unstable, so forgive me for that. Um, and yeah, so Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. I am honored to be here. Asia, the largest continent, is no doubt the most powerful and the most populated continent in the world. Countries like China, Russia, India, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, and Japan are known to be the most influential countries in the world, with China with its influence in African and Central Asian countries. Regarding geopolitics of the world is surely changing. Asia is really close to being the superpower of the world. The only difficulty, I believe, is the involvement of USA in Asia, let it be trade or about military assistance or helping in conflicts. The, the major issue is about trust issues and divisions within Asia, that is needed to be addressed. And Asian countries are more reliant on each other, and differences aside, then no one is there to stop Asia from becoming a superpower as a whole. If there is a formation of a union which has least hints of the European Union, I guess that will be the final in the coffin, and there can be nothing in decades to stop Asia from becoming a powerful continent. Not that it's now, but it will become a undefeated. I also believe that Middle East, mostly Saudi Arabia, also has a major part to play for this to happen. For now, Saudi Arabia and other Middle Eastern countries fall towards the West, including Turkey being part of the NATO. If Asian countries commit more towards the Middle East, they will be unstoppable, and things will be always upon the Asian sides. Regarding our subtopics that we are going to discuss in this panel discussion, um, the most interesting part I find is the changing of the UN structure, which will be really interesting to talk about. So yeah, really looking forward, and it's an honor to be here again. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreya, sir. We would love to hear much more about you from you about Saudi Arabia. Moving forward, we have Mr. Adrian Snell from the Mexico. Adrian, sir, the floor is yours for exactly 1.5 minutes.
Yes. I Hello everyone. I will talk in my speech for everyone. Terrorism is becoming now and very advanced. Our country, Mexico, has another type of terrorism, of cyber terrorism. Drug traffic is the main evil that Mexico has, because the drug traffics controls the state. It is very important to see that it's now very easy to hack. And 4-year-old boy already knows how to do it. But if we continue to make the people see this are normal, it's a real problem. The first, I think, I would recommend it is to hit these cells with more consequences, because there are no doing education campaigns through UNESCO. Who takes care of him? Reducing is very gradual. it will so too great to start, but we can do it little by little. Thank you very much, Abrameya.
Thank you so much, Adrian sir. Moving forward, I would like to call upon my friend from Pakistan, Mr. Muhammad Shayan. Sir, if you're back, you could give your speech.
Greeting fellow moderators, honorable panelists, and the fellow observers. We stand here before discussing the issue that has the Asian countries replaced US as a major power. Well, to be very honest, honorable members, it could be seen that
Sir, you're on mute, sir.
I'm audible now.
Yes, sir, yes.
All right. Greeting fellow panelists, moderators, and fellow observers. The topic we have on our hand is, has the Asian countries replaced United States as a major power? Well, to be very honest, it has already replaced, considering the facts and figures which already has shown in the past regions over separate databases. But if we combine it into one separate one, it could be shown that Asia is of no at all comparison to the United States. It has crossed it not just and 10 times. But thing we lack is the basis of unity. We all are too divided into religion, caste, creed, and sectarianism. Thus, we do not have one reason to stand up against any counter-terrorism, counter-forces, and any other thing. Well, if we further talk about how the cybersecurity is reasoned, we all know how security networks of India, China, and Pakistan are. No one in the previous regions have been able to take over it. However, if you take a look at the pro-Iranian message, which was casted over the Federal Depository Library Program on the 6th June 2020, this year only, shows how weak the United States has been in this matter. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shayan Ashad sir. I would like to call upon Mr. Naman sir and Bhanutej sir for a brief questionnaire, and we'll move on.
All right. As I was listening to the opening remarks and few speeches really caught my attention. So let me just go in the reverse osmosis manner and begin with Shayan. Since he brought out an interesting topic about security forces in China, India, and Pakistan in specific, I want to know from Shayan to begin with, considering that the Pakistan's military arsenal, speaking specifically about the Pakistani Air Force, a lot of your arsenal takes its strength from the F-19s that is there in your arsenal. And ISI also works on collaboration with the American intelligence forces. Maybe the dynamics have changed after Osama bin Laden, but still Pakistan enjoys its funding from the United States of America. How do you wish to answer that, and what would you want to say, considering that within Asian countries we are giving Americans space to prove, and Pakistan is one such nation? So how do you wish to answer that question?
Well, first of all, it is of no doubt the United States has clearly shown in the last recent years after the Second World War how important it was to prevent any further world war and to maintain global peace. But how, as we speak of, we could clearly see how humanitarian violations are taking place all over the globe. Still, there has been no status or the leaders or the so-called free world upon the statements of the recent attacks. However, if we talk about specifically about Pakistan, how it has enjoyed aid in the past, well, to be very honest, it was not just an aid, it was a contract over how a specific amount of funding would be used, and it was specifically started after especially it was gained after the Russian intervention into Afghanistan. But as I told, that if there was single uniting force, there would have been no need, there would have been no prevent Afghanistan. That's it.
And I'm so sorry. I think our Nigerian delegate here hasn't had a say. I'm so sorry, ma'am. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I will start with this. A state powerful enough to influence throughout the world is a major power. Tact and diplomacy are finds in international relations, perhaps even in business. And in science, the only one thing that matters is fact. The United Nations is an international organization committed to maintaining international peace and security. And initially, we had the unipolarity of the international system, and now we talk of multilateralism. First, it should be mentioned that the hegemony status is not automatically granted to nations that trade the most or grow the fastest. If that was the case, Japan would have granted the world superpower status by 1970, and Taiwan would have gained superpower status by 1980. Secondly, to some extent, it was by chance that United States became the global power after World War II, and the rest of the developed world, including Europe and Japan, was in disarray. At the Bretton Woods meeting in 1944, world leaders agreed to anchor their exchange rate in gold, which would then be tied to the US dollar. As a result, the US dollar became the most important currency in the world, and United States rose to power status. Now, the question is, has China currency be approved as the international and important currency? Certainly, the United States had been on par with or above Europe in terms of living standards and level of industrialization before World War II. China has also become a central player, especially in the booming Chinese market, as well as its try to spread its wings across nations. The technological advancement is also quite impressive, but I must say that the issue of China replacing the United States is a controversial one, and there are many factors such as security, terrorism, political intricacies in many countries that have to be considered. The question is the viability of China in contributing to many things in the international system possible? I am open to a fruitful debate at the end of today.
Thank you, ma'am. That
Thank you,
was
ma'am.
yeah.
Yeah, for now we will have a small questionnaire followed by which we'll continue our discussion. Over to you, Mr. Banu and Mr. Naman, sir.
Thank you, Abramaya. Thank you, ma'am. That was quite insightful of you to bring in the UN at this point of time. So at this point of time, I would like to highlight the points that were made by the previous delegates regarding the way that the new age wars are changing towards cyber wars and bio warfare that we are seeing today. So with respect to that, UN was formed on the principle of uh, catering to the demands of the P5 countries is what I feel. So does the P5 still hold the value that it held in the days of Second World War? Is there any way forward with respect to the P5 country? And is UN truly democratic as it claims it is? So any delegate can pitch in here. Yes, sir. And any of you can just turn on your mics and start talking. We'll probably go ahead with the first come first serve policy here.
Feel free to unmute yourself and start speaking. Is the United Nations as democratic as it claims to be?
Okay, let me speak from my side. Okay, so we are all aware that the international system is actually a very controversial one. And the United Nations initially was formed to maintain peace and security amongst nations. But the rise of other nations moving from autocracy to democratic government has made the international system a bit brutal. We talk about the issue of sovereignty, the principle of non-interference, and yet you see states, the permanent 5 members, still interfering in affairs of other states, especially when it comes to the underdeveloped and the developing countries. So I would say that sometimes we have to ask ourselves that the international law that guides and that guides the international system, is it really in place? Is there really a particular law that truly guides the international system? Because the permanent 5 states are in a way overruling and not respecting the international law, yet they claim that there is international law in the international system.
Anybody else who wishes to speak on this regard?
Yep. I just wanted to say that I don't feel it is democratic because if it would be democratic, all the decisions would be made in the General Assembly rather than the Security Council. Yes, Security Council had a purpose when it was established back in 1945, where still there were colonies for the European superpowers. And when we see after World War II, when it was formed, from now in 70 more than 70 years, there's a lot of change taking place throughout the world, and there's definitely a need to restructure or to define UN in another way that it actually represents the world as it is today. So as you can see how League of Nations was devolved after World War II when United Nations was created, I guess because of the changing world, a lot of has changed, and right now, the whole world does not only depend on the Allied powers that fought World War II. It has become more than that for now. So I definitely believe that UN is needed to be restructured, and it is not democratic, and it doesn't listen to all countries equally. And there's also questions about funding, like because P5 countries, if you see US, one of the largest donors to the UN, and that is one of the concerns. I guess UN doesn't take that as a thing and doesn't raise it upon because their fundings might be a problem later. So yeah, I guess that's the thing I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Are there any other views on the issue?
Yeah. So, well, if we all know that United Nations was not only made to prevent a further world war, but it was prepared to prevent global dominance, and it was prepared to maintain global peace. Well, in the last recent years, in the previous eras, we have not seen any of it. We have not seen any important action taken in the Lebanon civil war. We have not. It is very common to see that a very small issue, which has been over Kashmir issue, considering the fact that it was only a small matter of fact, it could have been resolved in 73 years ago, but it has been 73 years, and still the United Nations has failed to make any sort of agreements between the two countries over a small issue. That's it.
Thank you.
I think Aditya Bhatt had something to say. I saw him coming in last time. Yeah. Yes, Bhatt.
Yes. Thank you, Naman, for giving me the opportunity to speak. Yeah, I feel that the reforms to the United Nations, and particularly to the United Nations Security Council, is must in the 21st century, because we need to understand that institutions that reflect the imperatives of the 21st century aren't that much effective in the 21st century as such. The current structuring of the UNSC probably covers more of the P5, while yes, it won't be totally true to say that the non-permanent members don't have a say there, but yeah, I feel that it's time that there is a bit of expansion to the UN Security Council, because it's almost been more than 50 years since the inception of the institution, and more countries need, with the growing geopolitical situations and the more clouds of the countries around the world. Yeah, it's the need of the hour. Also, what I feel is like it should be a promise of all the countries to make sure that it's a collective push from all the countries who are not a member of the P5 for the reforms to the Security Council as well. Like, we need, the United Nations is a symbol and a platform of harmony, and it needs to be democratic and participative. The UN Security Council today holds the utmost power in the world in terms of the United Nations, and it's time that more countries, excluding the bar of the size, the population, or anything, but let's make sure that each country has an equal say. And yeah, I truly feel that it's time to expand the P5 members of the expand the inclusion to the P5 of the Security Council. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. I just had one question to that. Do you believe that the P5 should be dissolved, or do you think that there should be more permanent members added to the Security Council?
Sir, I believe that the expansion of the Security Council is the need of the hour. Yeah, there are other reforms that need to be mentioned, like we have to discuss about the veto powers, because time and again countries are facing the issues of the pocket veto. So yeah, I feel that it's not the total dissolvement of the P5, but an expansion based on the needs and based on the pre-specified criteria, if it might be. So anything which can help to make this organization a sustainable, democratic, and a participative one. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Now we'll be moving forward with the discussion. I would like to start with Mr. Shayan Arshad on the new topic. Sir, I would ask you to talk about the increasing border tensions across the globe and with special reference to the new political map of Pakistan, which came out recently.
So, sir, I would like to add one more thing of the United Nations before we pass to the next. Yes?
Sure, Gabriel, yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Now I have a question that is the United Nations it's continue with the same mechanic for the thing that it was created. Okay, so currently the United Nations continue with some absence regarding its functions, such as the case of the United States blockade against Cuba, or its position in the face of the critical situation maintained by US President Donald Trump and his counterpart, Kim Jong-un, after reported trials, nuclear, in which the agency sanctions only North Korea. It should be noted that the United States is one of the nations that provides the most financial aid to the international organization, which makes the fact that the United Nations mainly watches over the interests and doesn't exercise the function for which it was created. And I think that that's the problem of the United Nations, that it's like having a conflict of interests, and it's not doing its job well for the thing that it was created.
So before we move into the question that you asked, Shayan, like now before we take this question, I would want to know from the panelists, especially in the 21st century, we are speaking about the relevance of America in Asian countries, but somewhere down the line, completely apprising ourselves of the nations who is there in the panel today. Like, for example, when the Nigerian delegate spoke about somewhere down the line surrendering our sovereignty, while China actually controls 65 to 70% of the nation's GDP. And on the other side, you have few Asian countries like Saudi Arabia said that somewhere down the line, the lack of interference of the UN is influencing the socio-political situation. But on the other side, Saudi Arabia has been a big host for the United States of America to carry out their politics in the Asian countries, especially the Middle Eastern countries. And then we have India, who is conveniently putting itself into various orbits while they have a S-400 military deal with Russia, while there is another kind of Howdy Modi that's happening between the two countries. So, and Mexico now with the newly built wall, the entire geopolitics has completely changed. And maybe I won't be wrong to say if it has entered a new low. And of course, since we have Turkey here, the Shia politics and in the history knows that USA has always been a country which is more friendly to the Sunni nations, and it has always been, it always shows its cold shoulders to the Shia dominated countries, and Turkey has been facing the music. So in this era where we are conveniently shifting sides between India, USA, China or Russia, so how do you as nations, since we have various countries here, your sovereign leaders, your premiers have conveniently twisted and tweaked their foreign policies accordingly. So how relevant is taking sides in 21st century, number one? And is it really giving us results by actually showing our faith or actually bringing in that bonding with a particular nation in specific? I would want to know from the panelists here. Anybody can unmute themselves and start speaking. Yes, ma'am. I think I have the delegate of Nigeria to go first.
Okay, thank you very much. When you were talking, the video was cracking, but then I think I got the question. So if you're talking about the 21st century, looking at the fact that we have different countries trying to bond with another country apart from the United States of America, we should understand one thing in the international system that is very common. every country wants to flex their power. And I think that is one of the things China is doing. So if you look at it, the war started between US and China. And looking at the fact that China, in its technological wherewithal, it is very much more advanced. Also, we should also consider that there are many countries. Take, for instance, the impact of China in African nations. I was reading an update 3 days ago, and I saw that China is ready to give loans to Nigeria, but claiming that if Nigeria is not going to be able to return that money at the specific time, they would take a part of Nigeria's infrastructure. And in a way, this parts of Nigeria infrastructure that they want to take is one of the important pillars that holds Nigeria. So look at that. I think that is the reason why this topic is coming up, because each country, they're trying to flex their muscles, especially on countries that are probably still developing and they don't have enough funds to even develop themselves. So we could see how China is coming into Africa, as well as USA trying to watch out what China is doing in Africa. All these things are just, they're just being diplomatic with it. And for real, unipolarity of the international system has ended long time ago, because we are not even only talking about China. Russia too is doing the same thing. Then there is one thing I want us to consider in our discussion: the issue of US withdrawing itself from international organization. Take, for instance, the World Trade Organization that the United States is withdrawing themselves from. Now it's planning to withdraw itself from World Health Organization. Tomorrow, we can't say that tomorrow another country can come and say that they want to join a particular international organization. So I don't think we should, I don't think it's about China replacing United States of America again. It's just that every country wants to dominate. That is it.
Is anybody else who wishes to comment on this question? Is it relevant to take sides in the 21st century geopolitical situation, owing to the fact that the nations that we belong to have conveniently put themselves into various positions and shown their proximity with certain nations? How relevant is it in the 21st century? Yes, I can see Shahryar.
Yeah. So I believe that when I'm talking about Saudi Arabia, when it comes to, like, because Saudi Arabia has this responsibility given that it represents the Muslim world because it's the center of the Muslim world. So with that coming, it considers itself as the sole leader of the region, right? Regarding the Islamic world, I'm saying. So when countries like Iran, it's not about Sunni Shia. Saudi Arabia has its relations with countries who are Shia and Ibadis as well, if you consider Oman. So with that considering, we see how Iran has its own way of dealing with what we say with its presence in the region. So how it has been acting in Iraq and Syria and Lebanon, and having this own liberative organizations and done terrorist acts. On that basis, when you consider Saudi Arabia has and USA has always been taking Saudi Arabia's side. That I agree, because for maintaining the sole leadership. And one of the things that I consider it should be done is, rather than funding defense, like, because Saudi Arabia is one of the largest defense exporter for USA, rather than making efforts in securing on the military aspect, it should be done in a more I think if the whole Muslim world with the USA come together and take a step diplomatically, that can be achieved, but that has not been done till now. And I believe it can be done in the future. But that also requires how USA takes its foreign policy in Iran and its nuclear deal. As you know how USA acts when a nuclear deal comes up, you can see how controversial was it when India had its nuclear deal when its discussion with the USA. So yeah, I guess there are foreign policies within the 21st century, and taking sides will be relevant if there is a result that can be seen. If not, then I don't think so it's a possible way. But one thing I can say is that Asian countries like China, Russia, and India, as I have said in my opening statement, if peaceful negotiations are done and they think that these things can be resolved, they should definitely take Middle East into a consideration with Turkey. So if Asia presents itself in a united manner, I don't think so USA or any other power can come under the influence of these countries. So yeah.
So the immediate next question would be, is the unification of the Asian countries the need of the hour? Especially when you look at the India-China border, that new tensions, the way India has, kind of imposed sanctions against China. It can be with the new education policy where Indian schools and colleges have decided not to teach Chinese anymore. Or the fact that, American companies are finding Asian countries as a foundation to start their business, improve their economy. Will the unification of the Asian countries, okay, along with the support of the few other Western powers, just to isolate, the United States of America, will that be a good move that can be the way forward for the 21st century political situation? Anybody who wishes to speak on
To
this?
add on to Naman's question, so we want to know the delegates' views on whether the unification of Asia is more favorable or the squabble that is currently happening in the Asian region is giving rise to a third power. For example, US has increased its presence in the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea. So is squabble the real way forward, or should Asian regions actually unify to make sure the balance of power in the world is maintained? So any of you just can come in and talk about this.
Okay, I want to say something concerning that, and this is just it. Talking about the unification of the Asian countries, we have to look at the countries that are present in the Asian region. These countries are plagued with conflict. They are plagued with, some are plagued with terrorism, insecurity, and a lot of things. Now, the unification of the European Union and the European countries was something that they had to develop from a particular kind of system of government into democratic system of government. If you look at the issue of China, China is still facing some issues with their government. So unifying the Asian region, or we should have the unification of the Asian region, might it might be possible, but it's going to be a long time thing and not something that would be done spontaneously.
We would love to hear from India, Turkey. Yes, I think someone from Indonesia is here. Yes, Jeremy, you may go ahead.
All right. Am I audible enough?
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you so much. This is actually very interesting topic regarding the unification, right? Across the Asia. Now, when we are talking about the unification across Asia, we're talking about the merging between the social and cultural stuff, political stuff between a lot of countries in Asia. Now, we also need to remember about the history in Asian countries like China and Japan, Korea and stuff, like Indonesia and Malaysia, or Indonesia and Vietnam and stuff like that. Now, when we're talking about that, we also need to know the difference ideologies between all of the countries in Asia, because we have like a lot of countries with different ideologies. Of the unification, in my opinion, it is something that's impossible to unify all the Asian countries with one vision and stuff, because you know that a lot of countries, especially in Asia, they have their own interests, and they also have their own power in Asia, like Japan and China, right? So when we are talking about this, it means that we want to make a new body that enhance the cooperation between Asia countries. With this kind of problem and a lot of historical problem with between a lot of countries in Asia, even though we will face the let's say the hegemon in this world, which is the United States of America, it is nearly impossible because of the historical things. But if you have any thoughts or if you have any like different argument, I would like to hear that from the panelists also. Thank you.
I believe that Asian unification, when you talk about that, um, it's nearly impossible. That I agree. But at least if there's a start in making a union, not like I don't think so. A European Union, like an Asian Union, is possible. But at least a start from the nations of which are actually having a sphere of influence within Asia, let it be Serbia or maybe Russia, China, India. If they start making and building trust between each other and have have a unification, not a unification theory, but a body, as the panelist from Indonesia has said, a body that consists of the major powers of Asia, and then follow up with the nations that are struggling at the moment and addressing the issues such as, because why I'm saying Asian Union is not possible, because right now there are problems that I don't think so can be formed if there is a influence of Western countries. There is a need of a decision made by the whole Asian continent as a whole to decide about the disputes that are happening. Let it be Jerusalem's issue between Palestine and Israel, let it be the Kashmir issue, or any other issue that there is at hand. When they are making that, they should also make sure that the rivalries within Asia, North Korea, South Korea, Iran, Saudi Arabia, should be also addressed at the moment. So, but the whole Asian continent as a whole, I do not think so. It's a possibility in the near future. It's very complicated and diverse. And yeah.
Naman, if I may come in.
Yes, Aditya.
Yeah. Hi. So yeah, I feel that uh, it is possible, but also we need to understand that Asia has always been the geography that determines whether or not an empire is a global superpower in the first place or not. Like, to be really, really clear and sublime about my thoughts, Asia is where the American superpower began, and it also needs to be the one where it ends. Simply put, like, be it from the colonial times, be it the Spanish, the Dutch, the British, or anyone, it's the control over the Asian countries, control over the Asian, control over the Asian countries and state that make sure who is one of the most powerful in the world. Like now it's America. So I wouldn't really say that, it's difficult, but not impossible for the Asian states to unite. It's difficult because of the ongoing skirmishes, the border tensions that some countries have with the others. But still, it's not difficult and not impossible as well. And we need to understand that one of the main issue is that America's prominent naval power and the troops stationed on few of the countries on the Asian continent is also one of the reasons that we might feel today that America has one of those, we might say, a say or a bit of a power when it comes to the power in the Asian region as well. So I feel that's it. If we need to be a superpower, unification of the Asian countries is the need of the hour. And by limiting the inclusion of American troops or American powers on the boundaries of the Asian continent is the maybe the art by which we can achieve the goal by not just fighting, but in diplomatic ways as well. Thank you so much.
Can I also give a speech?
Yes, please, ma'am.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I also think that it's a need. We need to unify, but it is really impossible. Other than the reasons that the other previous speakers gave, there in total there are 48 countries that is free, and also from the USSR times and the other times there are still countries that and ethnic groups that are still in Russian Federation. Since if we think about it, if there's if Asia becomes one, this means that there will be division in cultures, and also if we look at it, there are some countries that are that is ruling their countries in a different way. For example, Sharia is one of the can be one of the major problems, because as you know, it's the Sharia means that the country is ruled over by the Islamic rules, and most of the countries, maybe the half of the countries in Asia is not Muslim, and also the diversity in religions will affect this problem a lot too, because even there is problems in sects between in one religion. It is really impossible for all the countries to unify under one nation with these many religions and ethnicities. Also, there are still ongoing wars in every border. The tension between China and India is one thing, and as South Korea and North Korea, but also in countries too. There are like militaristic attacks to the citizens in some countries. Also, the ethnicities between countries in Asia is too diverse. For example, I can give Azerbaijan as an example. I don't know if you know the conflict that, but in there, there's a region that is from Kurds in like the small side of it, but still some of the and also other ethnicities, there are lots of conflicts because of the historical background, and also because of the because of the cultural problems. Firstly, if we really need a unification in Asia, I think that finding the middle point between maybe sides and religions should be our priority, because even though that we need that, most of the countries will not will really accept to become one, because every country wants their maybe rules to be on used on every other country. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you for the insightful speech by everyone. And till now, since we're talking about Asian power, we see only Eastern countries talking. So I would like to know if there are any views from Mexico and Brazil regarding the same topic that is being discussed right now.
Yeah, like we might, I think we will just tweak the agenda a bit for the benefit of the other nations here. Like, I think we'll just expand the jurisdiction and talk about how coercive the American influence has been in your respective nations, if you're not the direct victim of the Asian countries, and how do you see the way ahead? Owing to the fact that we are living in a owing to the fact that we are living in a capitalistic era, and communism literally has no place, or any other form of ideology, even the blend of communism and capitalism, looking at how Indian economy is shrinking, has no place, and it's thorough capitalism, which is quite well played by the Americans, taking a place. I would want to know from these non-Asian countries as to how are you looking at the American coercion, if I may call it, or the American reception, if you may perceive it to be so, in your respective nations. Brazil, Mexico.
Yes, sir. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about the magnitude of the competition being backed by Beijing and Washington came to light immediately after clashes between Chinese and Indian troops in the Ladakh region in the disputed area of Kashmir in mid-June. since there has been a considerable increase in diplomatic and security contracts between the United States and India. In the Indo-Pacific region, a New Delhi emerged aimed at joining the strategic alliance of Washington, Japan, and Australia in anti-Chinese key. And I think that all this strategy that these countries are doing, it's good because their economies could be every day better and can have like a better place in the range that of the worldwide economy.
All right. So before we move into the question answer session, I think there is an interesting point with about the United Nations. And after this, I'll hand it over to you, Aprameya, to take the specific question answer session forward. Since we spoke about the United Nations, I would want to draw two dimensions here. One is the question which has also come in the audience poll, that is in the chat section, where one gentleman asks that why can't we work on improving the current regional organizations that we have, like SARC, ASEAN, SCO, the organization of the African Union for that matter, and the African nations, because the foundation stones that have been laid, isn't it more plausible to probably work on unifying this? Adding on to that, I think Shayan Arshad made a mention over there as to how the United Nations has failed in its approach towards India and Pakistan, and he gives a special citation about the Kashmir issue. So I would not want to go deep into the Kashmir issue owing to the international audience that is laid ahead of us. But the fact of the matter is, my question will be, how much do we respect the decisions of the United Nations in this international diaspora? Even if we have regional organizations or other 101 organizations or the United Nations, rather than blaming it as to they are not doing anything comprehensive enough, the point will be, how seriously will these nations take the United Nations, number one? Number two, how seriously will we take these regional international institutions, number two? And rather than blaming on them, blaming them and saying that they are failing us, how mutually are we respecting them? Would be the point I would like to draw your attention to. Because if you look at the plebiscite, Jammu Kashmir issue, to put it in a small brief, it was a disputed territory in the 1947 where both India and Pakistan had claims over it. While one nation blames that Pakistan completely violated the plebiscite, and the other nation blames that India, through unjust means, had a possession. As an Indian, I might have different views over it, or I might have a particular opinion. But completely putting it in the international diaspora, as to, when one nation blames that the plebiscite was violated by Pakistan while the other nation used coercive methods to integrate the territory. But the point remains, how are we taking these, how seriously are we taking these international organizations? Anybody can unmute and start speaking.
All right, so I completely agree to the fact that how would the countries be observing the fact and would be like agreeing to the decisions made by the United Nations. So the United Nations was established by the so-called free leaders of the free world, and the moment those free leaders of the free world started violating the rules and regulations set by the United Nations, when the people who made the United Nations started violating all the points and regulations, was the same moment when others thought that there was no need to follow them. If the so-called leaders of the free world still believe that they are the leaders and they are the protectors and saviors of humanity, it is upon them to follow the rules and regulations by themselves first before it comes over to any other small country or any other country who had just joined just for its protection and saviorness that it follows by. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other views on the same topic?
Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Raman. Yeah, so I feel like I second your point where it's difficult to sometimes take the decisions of the United Nations into like it's sometimes difficult to take the decisions of the United Nations into acceptance because as a country you always feel that if there's no operation of the United Nations in the country, then they might not know what actually happens in there. Like, yeah, we might tell you that, as mentioned by you about the Indo-Pak and the Kashmir issue. Yeah, I will say that, yeah, there's the United Nations Military Observer Group in India and Pakistan. And yeah, the debate has always been there in the United Nations. Like, India and Pakistan have uh, time and again raised the issues there, and time and again the other country, I wouldn't blame the either of them, but I would just say that time and again the issue has been raised, and time and again the other country has denied to respond on that issue, saying that the Kashmir is a part of their nation. So yeah, that's where the issue really lies, because there is a limit to which the United Nations can intervene in the issues between the two nations. And yeah, at the end of the day, there is always a chance of thinking about what to do when they pass a resolution or there's something that the country is against. So that really is the challenge that the world is currently facing today. And that's one of the reasons why the reforms to the United Nations Security Council in personal is needed, because I would like to say that Asia is one of those continents where there are too many countries, and yeah, we need more representation in order to make sure that most of the issues raised by the country are raised with peaceful discussion and fruitful solutions where both the countries accept it. So that's one of the points which I feel should be addressed here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aditya. I believe the delegate from Nigeria had a point.
Yes, okay. So talking about the United Nations decisions and regional organizations decisions, first of all, I would like to say that the UN and other regional organizations are comprised of nations that we are talking about here. And whatever decision that is being made in the United Security Council, though, might be influenced by the permanent five. So what I would just say, because other delegates have addressed most of the things I want to say, briefly, what I would just say is that the issue of this permanent five can be reviewed, because many of the resolutions and recommendations that they give might actually not really work for the country in question, especially when they are deliberating on issues or on agenda that pertaining to a particular region, and then they give recommendations and resolutions. But there is just one thing that surprised me at the end of the day, that these countries that they are going to be addressing or be giving solutions and recommendations to are always present. But later, when I found out that many of these countries, they are just present. They are just bystanders in the international system. Some of their decisions are not taken into consideration. So I think there is actually a review. There should be actually a reform in the United Nations Security Council.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other views on the same topic?
Yeah, I want to say that I guess one thing is that yes, we cannot solely blame the United Nations. There's also a need of a cooperation between the countries that are facing the conflict. But one way or the other, I believe that Kashmir has been now not taken as a dispute, it is taken as a political gain from the countries that are being affected, right? So they sometimes when politicians or when they address the issue, they address it in a more of a political gain for their purposes, right? So they don't see the way Kashmiris have been struggling for the last 70 years and how it has been done. And this has now taken an international turn. You know, you can see how in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the largest Islamic body after the UN, the largest intergovernmental body after the UN, has now affected the third most populated Muslim country in the world. India is not getting away into the part of the OIC just because it has conflicts with the Kashmir issue with Pakistan. So definitely there is a need of a cooperation, not only with the countries that are being in the conflict, but the other countries who are being surrounded and who are having their own losses because of the disputes that are happening between three superpowers. Superpowers: China, India, and Pakistan. And I definitely think that solely blaming United Nations is not the correct answer for the problem not being solved.
Thank you, sir. So, are there any other views on the same topic? Basically, the topic that we are discussing, just to make sure that we don't stray away from it, is the UN has become an organization that caters to the whims and fancies and likes of the P5 members and is not actually representative of all other countries that are present. So, has UN become a toothless tiger in the current scenario? So, if we have any other speaker on the current topic, we'll have it, and I'll.
All right. I would
Okay,
like
thanks,
to
Jimmy.
say my words
Well,
for this topic. All right. Thank you so much for a lot of insightful debate and a lot of insightful opinion about United Nations. But then, first of all, fellow panelists, we will also need to leave our ego and our anger first to see the United Nations and also, or especially the United Nations Security Council. Why? Because in the last discussion, I heard that a lot of anger and stuff that saying the United Nations is being some sort of useless or the ruthless tiger and stuff. But then we need to know why in the United Nations Security Council they only just have 5 permanent member because they are the winner of the World War II. And why is it important to maintain their power in that chair or in that table? Because when we are talking about this P5, they are the countries that hold the nuclear power and also the others. But those 5 countries is really strong about their nuclear power. Now, when they have the veto power and stuff, even though they are killing each other, but it is maintain the peace stability in this world as a whole. Regarding the World War III and stuff, we are not progressing in World War III anymore, or we are not progressing in the new like World War or stuff, because because the powerful countries is killing each other. They are killing each other with their own power in that table. So when you want to add another power or another country in that table, you also need to rethink about their power, rethink about the peace and sustainability about this world. Now, do also remember that United Nations is just a forum. United Nations is not a new country, or is not a country, or is not a Supreme Court. They are powerless. They are powerless if there is no countries that contribute in United Nations. So when you are talking about blaming United Nations, is it United Nations that doing it wrong, or the country that doing it wrong? Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Jeremy, and everyone who answered those amazing questions. Now, we would be moving forward in a similar manner to keep up the spirit of the debate. Today was a historic day in India because the Bhumi Pujan, that is the groundbreaking ceremony of the Ram Mandir, was done. And in Turkey, the Hagia Sophia was built build, will building religious institutions help in soft power and help them check the Western power, especially the American power? This is my question to everyone here. I would like to ask Mr. Aditya Bhatt to answer it first, and I would also ask him the significance of this agenda and of religious centers to the geopolitics of the world.
Hey, Pramya, can you please repeat the first part of the question? I was having some network issue on my side.
So
Sure,
basically,
sir.
the role of today. So basically, many nations are resorting to religious way to exercise their culture and domination. Like for example, be it in Turkey, a church was converted into a mosque. In India, the Ram Mandir issue to show the cultural pride of India. So is by resorting to soft power by resorting to religious means, are we expressing our soft power strength? Was the question. And by doing so, can we keep the Western influence at check? Is the question, if I'm not wrong, Aprameya.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the question, sir.
Yeah, so first coming on to the issue of the Ram Mandir and the communal clout or the so-called communal clout that was being addressed in the question. Yeah, first of all, addressing to that own thing, I would like to say that, yeah, it was first a judicial decision upon the issue. So yeah, whatever the judiciary decided happened in the first place. Yeah, I would like to say so. Now, the views might differ, as Naman had earlier said that yeah, my views might differ when I'm representing India, and my views might differ when I'm not representing any nation or when I'm free to speak my own mind. But yeah, what I feel is like the inclusion of the other superpowers or the Western powers in a country has predominantly been on the basis of the divide and rule factor. And it's the utmost importantly in any country to make sure that the communal harmony is maintained in order to make sure that no third party can come in between and then divide the nation based on something as a communal issue. So yeah, that can be taken as a notion to make sure that the Western powers don't intervene in the state. And yeah, considering the geopolitics in today's situation with regards to the communal disharmony, which might be noticed in many nations across the world, yeah, it is a matter of concern because that's what gives rise to issues in the country or issues in the government as well. So yeah, I would like I don't know how to address that issue, to be very honest, with respect to India. But yeah, I feel that it's important to make sure that yeah, communal harmony needs to be taken into consideration to make sure that the Western powers do not intervene in the internal issues and internal matters of the country, and the powers of the country remain in the country itself and not in the hands of the others. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone could answer, but I would be asking Mrs. Zainab to answer about and bring in the Hagia Sophia issue as well, which has been in the headlines for the past few weeks. Ma'am, the floor is yours for the next 1.5 minutes.
Should I answer this question due to my own will or about my government's perspective?
It can be your own stance, ma'am, and you can just state your government's perspective as well. And produce your stance.
Firstly, about Hagia Sophia, personally, I really don't think it's an it should have been done in this year or in this time, because I don't know if you have any ideas, but in Turkey we have some conflicts about human rights and at the same time the pandemic problems. And in the for an addition, the Hagia Sophia problem was added to that. If you look at it, someone also wrote something to chat box about our great leader Atatürk. In that time and after that time, it was a museum. Actually, the Hagia Sophia was a museum because since it was firstly built as a different thing, and after that it was converted to a mosque. And after that, since to make it an important place and don't have for not any European or Asian countries have a grudge against us, Atatürk's party changed it as a museum. But the reason, the key point that the government in Turkey changed it back to a mosque is because, as I know, as I informed, that in some countries, the normal museums are changed into other religion places for Christians or for or Buddhist or other for other religions. So since Hagia Sophia was an important place for Muslims, and from before that, it was an important place for Christians. Our government was discussing upon this point for years, and in order to like have a relief for the health of the citizens in Turkey, they changed it now as a mosque. But personally, I don't think that changing it now will be a good decision, because of the pandemic and because of our geographical location, we have so many dangerous attacks, and in past we had so many dangerous attacks in past years. And also when we look at the government and when we look at to the citizens, maybe half of the people in Turkey is not also Muslim, so it is causing a diversity in Turkey. But if we look at it as a Muslim country, maybe the other Muslim countries think that it's a good idea to change it back. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. If anyone else would like to answer the question, I think Ms. Dolulop wanted to say something, ma'am.
No.
Okay, sure. So moving forward, I would like to ask all the panelists here a persistent question during this time of the pandemic. Is there a competition in the world for making the vaccine? Will the country which invents the vaccination, will there be a change in geopolitics? Will the country which brings in the vaccine to the world, will it somewhat regain its supremacy? Because the world will be looking for it to save itself from this great pandemic. Anyone could answer this question?
Okay, I got a point on this. So first, okay, all we know that since the pandemic starts, all countries search a vaccine. Why? Because the vaccine is the way that, first of all, the same country can recover the all health organizations and recover the health of his population or its population. So it's not only that if one country obtained that vaccine, it will sell to the world that, and it will be like not supremacy, but all countries will search it for that vaccine. So that's the why all countries, all universities, all scientific institution organizations are searching a way to find this vaccine, because they don't see that vaccine like a cure for the pandemic or for COVID. They watch this vaccine like a monetary way, on a power way, in where the country that had or have this vaccine will control all situations, actually will control the way of the pandemic, and will control how these situations and COVID evolve. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Tolulop, do you have something to add on or contribute to this argument or the question?
Okay, thank you. Basically, what I would say concerning the vaccine issue is, normally any country that would find the vaccine to this COVID-19 virus would gain recognition. And I don't think it would necessarily change the geopolitics, because fine, most countries would want to, in a way, go into such country that produces the vaccine to get the vaccine, and in a way it can boost the economic wherewithal of such country. But in anyhow we would put it, I don't think it's going to change the geopolitics, although the country that would provide the vaccine might gain more international recognition than before.
Does anyone else want to add on something, or can I move to the next question?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, please go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay. Moving forward, this is sort of a question which is very controversial. We'll be discussing about the increasing border tensions. I would like to ask Mr. Aditya Bhatt about his opinion about the increasing border tensions of India with China and Nepal, and I would also ask him to stress upon the fact that China of late has been trying to come up with border tensions with many countries, including India, Tibet, US, which is not exactly their border, but there have been tensions politically against US as well, and Hong Kong. So I would like to ask your opinion on that. After which I would like to move on with Mr. Shayan Arshad. Aditya sir.
Yeah, thank you, Apramya. So I would like to say that it's not been the first time that India is having such issues with China, considering the 1962 war. 19. Sorry, I'm a bit confused with date. Maybe the 1962 war with the India-China war was also because of the border territorial disputes. And today I feel that I know that China has been getting into the border disputes with many of the neighboring countries or many of the other countries as well. But I feel that with the issues between India and China, till the diplomatic channels are open, there can be possibility that the de-escalation happens. Like the countries have already started de-escalation. The few troops have been stationed near the borders. But I still believe that such kind of issues can be solved more by the diplomatic channels, because today the need of the hour is interdependency, considering the fact that we have seen that many of the Chinese applications were banned in India. Needless to say, these are the Chinese applications, and needless to say that the revenue that has been generated, not still that big, will play at least a minor role in the countries. Like for China with like that amount of GDP, I would just say that in that sector, it will play a little role. So till the diplomatic channels are open, I feel such issues, India at this point of time will be able to solve such issues. And as compared to other countries, it still depends on what are the motives of People Republic of China at this point of time for getting into such kind of border skirmishes. Like with India, it is because of a land which they claim that it was theirs, but with Hong Kong, the situation is totally different. So again, to get into the crux of the situation, we would have to understand the pure motive behind the situation, which we would have to look at the crux and the prime motive which actually gave rise to such issues in the first place. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So that was very informative, and I would like to add upon that. Yeah, it's very important for us to know the real motive of this, because China is trying to pull everyone into their game, and this is mostly for the gain to supremacy to the world. Moving forward, we have Mr. Shayan Arshad. Sir, I would like to ask you a straight question. There has been an update from Pakistan that there is they have included Jammu Kashmir into their map recently, and there have been other comments made by Mr. Imran Khan, and there have also been comments in the past with respect to even the Ram Mandir, which is a totally Indian issue. I would like to ask you as to what Pakistan's stance is about its border tensions with India, and I would like to also ask you if the terrorist groups which were said to be active in Pakistan, have they been taken action upon by the government?
All right, so that's a lot of one question. So I'll just start off with the beginning. So considering the fact of border tensions, these border tensions have existed for over 70 years. Well, we as human beings, we, for the sake of humanity, have to fight together, have to work together in order to restore peace. And at such time of a global pandemic, it is very important for both the countries on a verge of losing their economies. They like losing so much of economy, like 80% of Pakistan budget is wasting on army just because of its border tension and etc. and violations and etc. The war and everything. Well, these are some things that the government, the army, and all of humanity has to work together for. But however, if I talk about specifically about the border tension between India and Pakistan, it is upon both these country governments to work together in order to restore peace. However, if I repeat the statement I gave in my opening statement, that we as humanity are being divided so much in between our religion, caste, and creed and sectarianism that it is, however, increasing day by day. However, like if I may carry out to the point of the map and terrorism, well, there are extremists in every sort of religion in every part of the world. It is not just of something point, it is something to work together in order to restore peace. If some sort of intelligence has been posted that a group of terrorist activities are found in Pakistan or a group of are founded there, it is upon the global army, the global pandemic, the United Nations, especially if we were talking about the restructuration and everything, it is a global responsibility to work against terrorism, however, without respect to what country, what region it is a part of. Now, laying special emphasis on the map, which had been quite a bit of a shock as well to every single civilian in the country. But we could consider that the government of Pakistan had given some sort of a reply to the abrogation of Article 370. I'm not saying it is, but it is something it could be. All right, that's it, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I would like to ask Mr. Gabriel about the border tensions Mexico is facing with the USA. After which we'll have closing statements if anyone else doesn't have anything to say. Gabriel, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sir, could you please tell us about the border tensions of Mexico with the US and also talk about the wall which US is building across the border?
Okay, as you all know, um, the government of Donald Trump has brought a lot of problems with Mexico, with racism, with the wall, and all of those things. But I think that now our relationship with United States is like improving because we have signed a international contract for commerce. In the we're going to have a lot of business acts, and I think that that our relationship will be better, and the economy of Mexico and United States will be like the one of 3 years ago.
Thank you so much, sir. Does anyone else have to add something onto this point, Mr. Sheriar or Ms. Tolulo?
I think that my partner.
Go ahead,
Yes,
and then I will. No problem.
Okay, I think that my partner Diego can help me to give better this topic.
Yeah, thanks. So, adding to the point of Gabriel, so since the actual campaign of Donald Trump started, Donald Trump has promoted all racism, all kind of discrimination for Latin American people, for Mexican people, for people with not kind of certain characteristics. So the pandemic arrived, and now the things has changed in a certain way. So how does it change? It is like kind of strange because before pandemic, Trump wants to build a wall between our countries, build a wall that avoid that Mexicans and all migrants pass to USA. So this wall, since Donald Trump took the presidency, this wall has been built in certain and specific points of the frontier between Mexico and USA. But well, now with the pandemic, that USA stays in a conflict way, in a way where USA economic is going down. So yes, USA wants now to make treaties with Mexico. So well, a few weeks ago, Mexico and USA has arrived to a treaty, economic treaty that have improved the relation between those countries. But even this treaty, sorry?
Yeah, continue, sir. Please wind up.
Yeah, thanks. So, going this treaty improve these relations, but the ideas and the ideology of Donald Trump of all discrimination and racism for Latin American people is still there. It haven't changed.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. We'll be
I
taking
want to
in the
say
flow.
the last statement on this topic, border disputes. I guess we have talked about the Kashmir issue in Asia, but a broader issue that is there is the Israel-Palestinian issue. And I believe that, of course, the Arab League has taken the part, that has taken the side of Palestine, and while Israel depends upon US for its support. And it has been seen that, when it comes to an Asian dispute, other Asian countries don't they don't see a need of coming ahead and helping other Asian countries, and that is one of the issues that I think is there and is relevant to all the Asian countries. And I believe if that is sorted between the Asian countries, like suppose now if there's a crisis, everyone points their head towards the West, like they should help. But why not you point your head towards your own countries, which suppose there is China or Russia? Why aren't they stepping up to piece out the issues that are present, especially in Jerusalem? So I think that is the need. The trust is the need at this moment for all nations regarding the border dispute as well. So.
Thank you so much, sir. That was informative because we hadn't thought of this. We would like to take your concluding remarks and move on to the vote of thanks. We would like to have Mr. Aditya Bhatt for his concluding remarks. The next 60 seconds is yours, sir.
Thank you, Apramya. Yeah, it was a good opportunity to discuss everything with such an esteemed panel. Yeah, so in the end, yeah, I still believe, as mentioned by one of the panelists, apologies, I don't exactly remember the portfolio, but yeah, I remember one of the panelists saying that before blaming the United Nations, we need to see that United Nations is an established power because of the countries, because of the member nations of the United Nations in the first place itself. So we as a countries have a part in giving United Nations the power they have. And yes, I believe that the Security Council needs a little bit of expansion in order to make sure that the needs and the necessities of all the countries are included, and that there's no point in waiting for P5 are in existence just because they were the five superpower countries during the World War, and that doesn't mean we would have to wait for the next World War just to expand the Security Council to understand who are the next powerful countries. So that's what I feel. Owing to the COVID-19 pandemic, I also feel that it's imperative for the countries to be dependent on each other, like how with the recent how the induction of Rafale jets in India, how along with that France also sent a team of medical experts to India to make sure that the COVID-19 pandemic in the country is under control, and also the various ventilators and the medical equipments. So yeah, I feel at the end of the day, to tackle the issues that we are facing today, interdependency through maybe peaceful channels and making sure that we try to sort our inter-country issues between ourselves will make sure that there's no inclusion of the unwanted intervention of the third party or the superpowers in the country. And I feel that's one of the keys that will lead Asia to be the next superpower. So I don't feel it's impossible, but yeah, it is difficult, but not when it's done collectively. Thank you so much. Thank you, Apramaya.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your concluding remarks. We'll have Ms. Zainab from Turkey for her concluding remarks. Ma'am, the next 60 seconds is yours. Please give your concluding remarks.
Thank you. Firstly, I would like to thank for inviting me for this panel, and also right now I would like to also apologize for giving answers from the chat box, because there had been lots of misunderstandings about Turkey, and also about the actions of each country had, and also the perspective of Turkish citizens. I really hope that with this panel and with my speeches, I was able to clear the doubts and also give new ideas about the actual thoughts of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Your inputs were valuable in the debate. We'll have Mr. Gabriel, sir, for his concluding remarks on the debate. Gabriel, sir. Okay, we'll have Mr. Diego for his concluding remarks.
Okay, thanks. So concluding all this debate, all these international topics, international problems and issues that are in the actual world, some strategies that we have to take, that we have to consider to resolve, to attempt, and to get a resolution for all these problems. These spaces for talking, it will be incredible to have all this resolution, all these comments, ideas, and points of view of all of you to take one day that ideas to resolve the problems and resolution. So again, thanks very much for inviting us, for inviting Mexico in this debate, and thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. Ms. Tolu from Nigeria, ma'am, you can give your concluding remarks.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, firstly, I would like to appreciate the organizers of this program for featuring me in this event, and it has been a wonderful one. Okay, so what I would just say is that there are preconditions to China becoming a global power, and I think we have addressed those preconditions. However, we should just work together for the betterment of every nation, and also not forget that the reason why the UN organ was established was to maintain peace and stability. So even if every country is trying to gain global presence and global dominance in the international system, we should not also forget the core major objective of why the organ was created.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll have Mr. Gabriel for his concluding remarks. So the next 30 seconds are yours.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting us to me and my friends of Mexico. It's an honor to be here with all of you. I think that these type of discussions are very important for us, that we are young people and we are the ones that are going to change the world and change all those issues that the world has, as racism, economic, politic, health, and all of those topics that that we had discussed. And it was an honor to be here with all of you. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for attending the conference. We'll have Mr. Shehryar Mohammed from Saudi Arabia for his concluding remarks.
First of all, I am really honored and glad to be a part of the Indian Conclave. It was a really great experience for me for discussing about such a important topic in the 21st century at this moment, which is very, very, very relevant, and it was needed to be discussed. One more thing I want to say is that I completely agree with the statement given by India that we do not have to wait for another world war to happen to make changes that are necessary within the UN. An expansion or the restructuring of the UN is one of the most important things that can be done. Second is the thing that what UN was based upon was that one of the things was that what happened in Nazi Germany should not happen again. And what we can see today in China in the Uyghur Muslims is happening the same, and the UN hasn't done anything that can be even vocal to say that UN has done its job. So with that saying, as I have said in majority of my speeches given in the topics, building trust and having that trust built in within Asian countries and cooperation and collaboration between them is the only thing that can put Asia as a whole into the map. First of all, I also agree that Asia is a superpower as a whole, but representing that is a problem at this moment, and that should be done with integration of all Asian countries with each other. Again, it was an honor to be here, and I thank all of them who attended the session, and I would like to congratulate all the organizers. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Shreya sir. Your input so valuable. We'll have the penultimate closing remarks by our friend from Pakistan, Mr. Shayan Arshad.
First of all, I'd like to thank every single organizing team member for such a wonderful experience. It was such an honor for me to be here. It was a really splendid experience. I would just like to say one thing, that we should always remember that humanity is above everything. Caste, religion, creed. We were not divided, we were one. We had been divided for the favor, for the respectiveness of someone else. We should always keep that in mind, and thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir. The last closing statement will be by Mr. Jeremy from Indonesia. Yes, sir. You may give your final concluding remark. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to say thank you to all of the committee that could organize this such a beautiful initiative that consists a lot of younger or a lot of youth from another nation to address like topics that are really important in this current situation, and also like a lot of strategies and also like a lot of solutions that already been given by fellow panelists in here. And I'm from Indonesia. Feel very honored to join this initiative and also join this discussion. I would like to see you in like another event or stuff. And also, since I'm the very last panelist that will close this one, that I would like to close this session with a thankful word in my mother language. Terima kasih semuanya, and it means that thank you for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That's very kind of you. I would love to move into the formal vote of thanks. And before I move on to it, I would like to state two shlokas, two hymns from the Indian epics. Janani Janma Bhumischa Sargadapi Gariyesi. This is from the great Ramayana, which states that mother and motherland are superior to even to the heavens. And I thank everyone who attended this event and kept to the spirits of their motherland. Their motherland is the first thing they respect. They have to respect, and I thank them for giving their views. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kashchid dukkha bhag bhavet. May all stay happy and may all stay healthy, and may everyone stay good. Peace, peace, peace. I would like to ask Raghav to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Pramaya. With that, I would like to thank all the panelists who have joined here us today in terms of the time they've given to us despite the time disparities of time zones. Also, I would like to thank the organizing committee to have allowed us to give the operation team the opportunity to make accumulation of such esteemed delegates from all over the country. I would like to thank the Indian Conclave and the Secretary General, the whole Secretariat led by Mr. Moin, to give us this particular platform where we have established ourselves enough to call upon this widespread of a diversity from around the world. Also, I would like to thank all the attendees in the audience who have been with us here today since the beginning of the program and have kept the chat section alive and active. Also, I would like to thank our chief advisor, primarily of the Indian Online Mon, Mr. Banutej Ravilla, who have guided us to have pulled off this event. Thank you, Banuana. Also coming to Mr. Naman, who is also the chief advisor for the Indian Conclave and who has constantly guided us in terms of giving this event a premium stature to itself. Thank you, Naman sir. To conclude with my fellow moderators, my fellow organizers, which is Apramaya Sheshadri and Rohit Katta, the representative of Indian Online MUN. Thank you, both of you, to have pulled off this as a success. Also, I would like to thank the resource team and Archit Menon to have led the resource team to have no disturbances in terms of the event. With that, I would like to yield the floor to the chief advisor of the Indian Conclave, Mr. Naman sir.
One second, Raghav. I would like
Yes.
to personally thank Raghav Panjire, my dear friend and my mentor, for pulling up this with all of us and for guiding us, along with Naman Anna and Banu Anna. Thank you so much. Over to you, Naman sir.
I think we have discussed it in length and breadth, and since it's 9:15 in India, so it's better we better we call it a day. And I think we have all had a fruitful session with 34 people, and it was lovely hosting you all. Thank you all for your patience, and thank you all. And of course, we apologize for small technical nags here and there because of various time zones and connectivity and certain geographical features. I think initially there were a lot of technical snags, such as some of them just left in the middle, but otherwise with regular interventions and your intellectual views, I think we could still take it forward. This will be available on YouTube, and we shall be reaching out to you. And thank you very much. So those who wish to leave can do so. And since the account will be open for some time, as there will be some meetings and all that will be going. If you want to have, if you want to network right now, feel free to unmute yourself and start talking. All of them are good geniuses from their own countries. And if you want to ask your personal